Hello, friends. This past Shabbat, we were once again plunged into darkness, fear, worry, dread, terrible anxiety, as we heard about the hostage-taking in a small suburban synagogue outside of Dallas during Shabbat morning prayer. For 11 hours, many of us anxiously watched the news, read the reports, prayed, and feared the worst. Miraculously, due to good training, courage, and decisive action, especially on the part of Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker, the 4 hostages escaped physically unharmed. The hostage taker was killed by law enforcement officials. We are grateful, too, for the first responders who mobilized in support of the hostages at Temple Beth Israel in Colleyville, Texas. We thank God for this successful escape and continue to pray for the emotional health of those held hostage and for their families and loved ones. We have a blessing that we traditionally say during morning prayer. Baruch atah Adonai, matir asurim. Blessed are you, God, who releases the captives. Beyond the relief and gratitude that we all felt, what are we left with and what do we do moving forward? First, we must acknowledge that such experiences trigger us in different ways and can be traumatizing for us and for our children. For Jews all over the country and all over the world, the feeling is, it could have been us. That's a terrible feeling. The apparent randomness of the act can be paralyzing. We have to remind ourselves that the hostage taker chose that suburban synagogue because it was the closest Jewish institution to a federal prison in Fort Worth that was holding a Pakistani neuroscientist convicted in 2010 of attempting to kill U.S. military personnel in Afghanistan. The hostage taker had demanded this person's release. This is just to say that the site of this hostage crisis was not random. A few years ago, our community held a training session in our own sanctuary offered by the Jewish Community Federation. We learned many valuable lessons that sadly we need to know in the reality of our time. In an interview, Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker of Beth Israel said he had taken part in at least 4 separate trainings in recent years from the Colleyville Police Department, the FBI, the Anti-Defamation League, and the Secure Community Network, a nonprofit group that provides security resources to Jewish institutions nationally. The sessions taught him that if you get in this situation, you have to do whatever you can, he said. It gave me the courage and the sensibility to act when we were able. End quote. Rabbi Citron Walker compared the courses he took to CPR training, noting that it is rarely needed, but crucial when the moment arises. This kind of instruction is necessary for all of us as a society, he said, whether it's synagogues or grocery stores or mosques or shopping malls. It can happen. It's important to note that over the past weekend, the Jewish Federations of North America announced that it was speeding up the launch of a $54 million program to drastically expand its security initiatives. The Secure Community Network is a partner in that effort. We need more training, and I believe our leadership will attend to that, provide that for our community. On Shabbat, as we learned about this crisis, I got calls and texts from members of our community expressing their grief, outrage, and horror at witnessing yet another attack on a synagogue on Shabbat. We are scared and tired by the repeated news of anti-Semitic violence in our neighborhoods and in our holy places. But my friends, we are not alone. People also shared that they had received calls and texts from non-Jewish friends expressing solidarity and standing with us, as did Zoe and I. It was heartening to note that as the hostage-taking crisis developed, Rabbi Citron Walker's wife was invited to a nearby church where she sat in prayer with other rabbis, a priest, a Muslim imam, pastors, and other interfaith leaders. There was an outpouring of support nationally, with neighbors of all faiths united in condemning this attack and anti-Semitism in all its forms. Locally, I received texts and communications from faith community leaders here who were praying with us. Our response when our community is attacked is a measure of our values. We know there will be some people who attempt to use our community's pain and trauma to fuel division or incite violence against Muslim communities. We will reject any attempt to hold an entire community responsible for the actions of one individual. If we remain together as strong interfaith partners, we will move from this crisis to an opportunity to show that love can transcend hatred. Our strong faith and goodness and our faith in God will overcome this bigotry and rampant terrorism that plagues our society, and we have the opportunity to build a more humane, just, and peaceful world together. After the shooting in 2018 at the Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh, this same Rabbi Charlie Citron Walker wrote, "The love and support has to continue for all of us. When it comes to hatred and violence, we all must stand together." And he stands by these words even more in the aftermath of the crisis at his own synagogue. The only way we will defeat anti-Semitism and all other forms of bigotry will be to fight hate in multi-faith partnerships. We must take the leap of faith and commit to moving forward, all of us together. Let us continue to send our love to our Jewish communities in Colleyville and across the country. Let us draw close together, remember who we are and what we stand for. Stay safe and be well. Shalom uvracha, peace and blessings.